Before the migration of men into the continent, Westeros was home to the giant race and children of the forest, who worshipped the old gods, and as part of their religion, carved faces into weirwood trees. In Essos, legends say the city of Asshai and great empire of the Dawn existed in the Far East, while the Fisher Queens ruled cities along the Silver Sea west of the Bone Mountains, whose descendants became the tall men of the Kingdom of Sarnor. Also, the Cathi people reigned at this time, founding various city-states in what would later become the Red Waste. Of these cities, only Qarth survived. The Summer Isles also have evidence of civilization during this age, with its inhabitants believing the islands were alone in the world, surrounded by endless ocean. In 12,000 BC, the first men migrated through the Arm of Dorne and went to war with the Children of the Forest. In a futile attempt to preserve their homeland, stories say the children performed a magical ritual, possibly through a blood sacrifice, calling down the Hammer of the Waters to shatter the land bridge connecting Westeros to Essos. They later attempted the ritual again at the neck of the continent, failing to completely flood the area, and instead created marshlands. After 2,000 years of war, peace was at last achieved through the Pact of the Isle of Faces, which partitioned the continent, with the children taking the forests and men taking open lands. The first men also agreed to stop destroying the sacred weirwoods, and in the many years of friendship that followed, even adopted the faith of the children, coming to worship the old gods. Following the Pact, Westeros entered the Age of Heroes, and for approximately 4,000 years, the first men flourished, founding many kingdoms and noble houses. During this time, House Stark, Lannister, Gardener, and Durrandon were founded, while on the Iron Islands, the legendary Grey King ruled, following the faith of the Drowned God. And it was during this age that the islands known as the Three Sisters worshipped the Lord of the Skies and Lady of the Waves. In 8000 BC, the Long Night came, and for a generation, Westeros suffered from a harsh winter and darkness. In the uttermost north, a race of strange creatures known as the Others, or White Walkers, marched south against the realms of Westeros. Stories describe them as tall and gaunt, with skin as pale as milk, and eyes that shine bright blue. They wore camouflage armor and wielded razor-thin swords of ice, imbued with magic, allowing them to freeze and break enemy armaments. They were also able to summon ice spiders and raise the dead, riding reanimated horses, bears, and direwolves into battle, and reviving fallen enemies to create an army of undead warriors known as Whites. For years, they wreaked havoc across the land, until the legendary Last Hero journeyed deep into the north, possibly wielding dragon steel, in search of the Children of the Forest, recruiting them to help humanity in their struggle. As the war continued on, an organization known as the Night's Watch formed to fight against the invaders, finally achieving victory at the Battle for the Dawn. The others were then pushed back to the lands of Always Winter, not seen again in the south for over 8,000 years. Although stories say the Children of the Forest fought alongside humans during the Long Night, some believe that it was in fact the children who originally created the others in a magical ritual years earlier, with the intent of raising a powerful army to fight on their behalf against the First Men, only to lose control of their creation. While Westeros suffered greatly during these years of war and darkness, the devastation of the Long Night was felt all across the known world, seeing the lands of Essos endure their own hardships, establishing their own legends and mythos concerning the events of these years. In the lands of the Rhoynar, stories say a terrible night fell upon the world, causing the waters of the river Rhoyne to freeze, until a hero emerged to unite the children of the goddess mother Rhoyne to sing a secret song which brought back the day. Beyond the Bone Mountains, in the great empire of the Dawn, legends say it was under the reign of the Amethyst Empress that the troubles began. Believing she was betrayed by her brother who crowned himself the Bloodstone Emperor, his corruption led him to turn his back on the gods of their people and worship a black stone fallen from the sky, causing the Maiden Maid of Light to turn her back on the world. This then led to the Long Night, when the Lion of Night came forth to punish the realms of men for their wickedness. The demon armies of this vengeful god caused great devastation until a hero emerged, wielding the sword Lightbringer to drive the enemy back, restoring light to the world. The story of a hero who fought the armies of darkness with a flaming sword spread throughout eastern Essos, with many cultures adopting their own version of the tale, such as the Patrimony of Hirkun and its successor realms, who claim the man was known as Hirkun the Hero, while other lands give this figure names such as Eldrick Shadowchaser, Yin Tar, and Nefarion. The most well-known story, however, however, came out of the mysterious far eastern city of Asshai, where the followers of the Red God R'hllor claim the hero was Azor Ahai, believing he forged his magical sword by driving it into his wife's heart, imbuing it with her soul, and naming it Lightbringer, the Red Sword of Heroes. The ancient prophecies of Asshai then go on to claim that this ancient hero would one day return, reborn to fight against a new darkness that would threaten humanity, and should he fail, the world fails with him. The chaos of the years of war led to the collapse of the great empire of the Dawn, replaced by a successor state in the Golden Empire of Yi. Back in Westeros, after the defeat of the others, stories say Bran the Builder of House Stark led the effort to build up a great defensive wall, with the Night's Watch as its eternal guard. Years later, the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch betrayed his oath, seduced by a beautiful woman with skin as white as the moon and eyes like blue stars, leading many to believe she was linked to the others, possibly one of their kind herself, or else an undead servant. The Lord Commander then took his seat at the Night Fort and declared himself king, and the woman he loved his queen, with the Night's Watch as their personal army. The Night's King, as he became known, committed barbarous atrocities until the king in the north entered into an uneasy alliance with Joramun, king beyond the wall, attacking together and defeating the Night's King, freeing the Watch from his brutal reign. King Joramun led an army of free folk, also known as wildlings, who lived north of the wall when it was constructed and were cut off from the rest of the continent. Some legends say King Joramun would go on to find the Horn of Winter, blowing it to awaken giants. Although estimates vary as to when exactly the Age of Heroes ended, many date the start of the Andal invasion to 6,000 years before conquest, when Hugor of the Hill was crowned the first king of Andalos, uniting his people under the faith of the Seven. Slowly, the Andals migrated into Westeros, first sailing into the fingers of the Vale, then expanding to conquer all of the continent up to the neck, overthrowing various old and noble houses of the First Men. Only the Starks of the North, fighting alongside the Children of the Forest, were able to resist them, and as a result, First Men blood remained strong in the North, while the South largely mixed with the Andals. The Children were nearly wiped out in the wars, as the Andals slaughtered them wherever encountered, burning their sacred weirwood trees. The few of their kind that survived fled far to the north, going into hiding, and as a result, the race of men came to believe they died off. For thousands of years, the Andals ruled the south, raising hundreds of petty kingdoms that would eventually transform into larger regions, known as the Vale, the Iron Islands, the Riverlands, the Westerlands, the Reach, the Stormlands, and Dorne. These territories were ruled by various noble houses constantly fighting for power. Far to the east, the Giscari Empire rose and conquered a large territory west of the Bone Mountains, and for thousands of years they ruled, building great pyramids with slave labor, colonizing foreign lands in Sothorios, and discovering far-off civilizations like the Summer Isles. The Giscari prospered until the rise of the Valyrian Freehold, when dragon riders and magic users led devastating armies out of the Valyrian Peninsula, waging a series of 5 wars against the Old Empire, conquering nearly all their territories and burning the city of Ghis to the ground. Afterwards, they covered the area with salt and sulfur to stop any survivors from ever reforming the city. The surviving Giscari fled to the cities of Yunkai, Astapor, and Meereen along Slaver's Bay and formed New Ghis on a nearby island. Further westward, the city-states of the Rhoynar rose to power along the river Rhoyne. Though politically divided, they were united by their faith in the Mother Rhoyne and a unique and progressive culture granting women equal inheritance rights and tolerating homosexuality. In 3000 BC, the Free Folk beyond the Wall united once again under Gendel and Gorne, brother kings who invaded Stark lands in great numbers, bypassing the Night's Watch with tunnels dug beneath the wall. However, they were ultimately defeated and pushed back by House Stark and the Northmen. Though the city had existed before under a people called the Maze Makers, the city of Lorath was colonized in 1424 BC by Valyrian worshippers of the blind god Boash. Having defeated the Giscari, Valyria began expanding west, establishing the city of Volantis and warring with the Rhoynar until 700 BC, when they completed their conquest, defeating Prince Garen the Great and his army of 250,000. In 700 BC, Princess Nymeria led the survivors of the defeated Rhoynar on 10,000 ships, sailing the Summer Sea in search of a new home. After years of struggle, unable to successfully settle her people, they came to Dorne in Westeros, and there found found allies in House Martell, uniting together to conquer the territory. In the north, after many years of conflict, House Stark defeated House Bolton, removing the Red Kings from power and consolidating their control of the north. After defeating Sea Raiders from the east, Lord Carlon Stark was rewarded with lands and titles, allowing him to form House Karstark. In the south, the Ironborn raided the western coast, and at their height controlled lands from Old Town to Bear Island. A special thanks to all those who contribute to Civilization X, like Zach of All Trades Trials, Magic the Shaman, and Rhoynar the Dead Raven. If you would like to help Civilization X, click on the Patreon link, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.